Are you sick and tired of the rising cost of bourbon?
It's definitely hit a boiling point. At least we think so. Today, we're going to tell you 6 reasons why we think the bourbon market is out of control. I'm sure you guys agree with us.
Yeah, it's out of control.
But before we get to those 6 reasons, we want to give a shout out to our video sponsor today, Into the AM. You guys know we love Into the AM.
Yep, Into the AM. Into the AM.
We're both wearing Into the AM clothes today. Well, we do every day. Actually, like a lot of days, not every day, but a lot of days we wear Into the AM. I am wearing the awesome camping graphic tee. I love this because, well, it's camping season after all.
Yeah, and I'm wearing, I don't remember what they call this shirt. I call it the Corona shirt. Because it has a little thing here on the front and then has the like beach, and I imagine like a guy sitting in the back there with a Corona. They got a bunch of new stuff back in stock. Not new stuff, old stuff back in stock.
Some of their most popular graphic tees are back in stock. So you're going to want to check those out. And also, be sure to use code TheAverageDrinker at checkout. You'll save 10%. The link is in the description, so be sure to check that out.
And while you're on there checking out all the stuff that's back in stock, you got to check out these. The Into the AM shorts. These things are bad A. They remind you of kind of like a store that has a lemon in the name, but a lot cheaper. These things are awesome, and I got so many different colors of them. These are green. Here's some red ones. I got black ones.
I like the different colors that they have.
They're so damn comfortable. So definitely check those out when you're in there getting some of the t-shirts that are back in stock.
Yeah, definitely buy them. And use code TheAverageDrinker at checkout. Use the link in the description and buy your graphic tees and shorts and whatever else you want to buy from there, because you will not regret it. Super comfortable, super soft. Now, let's get back into this video. All right, so the first thing on our list of reasons why the bourbon market is out of control is inflation.
Yeah.
It's even impacting the bourbon industry.
Yeah, it's impacting everything. And I think when I Googled this, so from 2019 to 2023, I think the average average cost or inflation rise is 25%.
On food and stuff like that.
Yeah, just in general, food, goods, whatever. So alcohol, it's a different story, especially when it comes to some of those nice bottles. For instance, Master's Keep. Wild Turkey Master's Keep. In 2019, they were $175, and now in 2024, they're $275. That's a 66% markup. Didn't even go with inflation.
But you know what I find crazy about that is like Master's Keep 17-year bottled and bond bourbon.
Yep.
That was $175. A 17-year-old bourbon.
Yep.
Okay, now we're talking about fast forward to 2024, even 2023, whatever. We have 10-year-old rye.
10-year-old rye for this year, 2024. I don't remember what the age was, if there was one on the
yeah, I don't remember. But this year's 10-year-old rye for $275.
$275 retail. We passed on it. It's good. We've tried it. It's good. It's just
we can't afford that.
Yeah. Another example of this one is the Michter's 20. I think that used to be retail of like $750-ish, somewhere in that ballpark. And I think retail on it now is $12.50. That's like a 66% increase.
That's insane.
Yeah. That's retail, if you can even find it retail. Good luck with that one. But it's insane. Inflation is just killing the bourbon market.
All right, let's move on to the next thing on the list. And the next thing on our list is the secondary market. Shh, we're not supposed to talk about it.
That secondary market. Secondary market, it's one of those things where sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. I mean, it's economy, it's capitalism at its best, really. It's you can't find this, I'm going to charge more for it. It's scarcity. So it is what it is. Some of the prices on there are ridiculous. Some prices aren't bad. So it really depends on what you're looking for.
But also, I think that the secondary market has really impacted other things in the market.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, the secondary market has definitely impacted other things because liquor store owners are kind of seeing that and starting to put bottles at prices for secondary or even higher.
One thing that I've even seen is liquor store owners are stopping selling their bottle on a shelf, and they are actually putting them on sale on secondary market because they know that they can get away with marking them up that high.
That I haven't seen.
I have. I've actually seen specific liquor store owners on secondary groups that are like, oh, I own this liquor store. You know what? I want to make a little bit more money on this bottle.
Hey, capitalism.
I know, you can't blame them because, like, everybody's hurting, especially like in the Colorado area where like now they sell wine and beer in liquor store or in grocery stores to where that takes some of that customer base away. So I don't know.
Yeah, and this will tie into our third point here because it intertwines with each other is distribution and distributors. Ugh. So there's Colorado is, I hate to say it, it's not great with distribution. Yes, we get some good bottles, but the distributors here are charging some crazy prices to the actual liquor stores, and then it's being passed on to us, and it's just horrible. Masters Keep, the Triumph, I've seen multiple stores have it, $385, and that's retail. Mm-hmm. That's not marked up because the distributor's charging a ton of money.
Right.
What was it? The Jack 10 and 12, the most recent ones of that.
Gosh.
Those are supposed to be what, $80 and $90 retail, somewhere in that range.
Yeah, 80 and 90.
In Denver, they were $120 and $150, which was the price on secondary.
Yeah.
So the distributor is raking in some money. So it sucks for
the consumer.
Because the distributor's trying to get some of that money that is normally going to the secondary market.
It's really frustrating. We've seen it in other states too, where the distributor has hiked the prices up.
I don't mind a little bit, but when you're charging more, like when I can go get Masters Keep Triumph on secondary shipped for $315-ish bucks, and then it's $385 plus tax in the state of Colorado at retail, there's something wrong. There is something majorly wrong.
Yeah, that is screwed up. That's really freaking screwed up.
Yeah,
that's
it's dumb.
Totally not fair. Freaking like.
Yeah, it's frustrating. We can't do anything about it. The distributor has to do something about that one.
Which we can't fault the distributors. We can to a certain point, but at the same time, it's like it's all about business and economics, and everybody has to make money. And as inflation goes up, everybody needs that, like, has that desire to push a little bit harder, to push the envelope a little bit more. It's like, I'm not making money, or I'm not making enough to meet, like, where I need to be, to where my goals are, because, you know, inflation has risen 25%. So it's like, it all trickles down.
Yeah, so then we kind of have another item on here is NDPs. And
but first of all, we should explain what
non-distillate producers. Yeah. So they're buying whiskey from Wild Turkey, from MGP, Barton, whoever they're buying the whiskey from. They're bottling it and then selling it. So there are some great NDPs out there. Amazing. And they're very transparent on everything. For instance, the Bourbon Junkies Evernorth line is very transparent on what it is. The prices are awesome on them. But then you get some of those NDPs that are going nuts with stuff. They're not giving you any information on it. Mm-hmm. The price for, say, a 4-year-old bottle of whiskey or a 2-year-old bottle of whiskey, who knows what it is? What, $100+? There's a boiling point on that one, just with NDPs not showing stuff in it.
Just being transparent. You want the transparency, but also they're just so many out there, and some of them are going crazy with their marketing.
Yeah.
Like, it's super enticing. They're coming up with an amazing looking label.
Correct.
Which, to the non-average drinker, to the person who is just a casual bourbon drinker who might not understand what that is, if they see that bottle, they're like, wow, that's a cool looking bottle. Wow, that's a cool looking label.
Yep.
Wow, I've seen their stuff on Instagram constantly. I've seen their stuff on social media. I want to have that.
Yeah, and that whiskey could be the exact same thing that's in, I'm going to throw this one out there, 10 Cup 10 Year. 10 Cup 10 Year is $50. MGP. It's freaking awesome.
And they're transparent with it. Distilled in Indiana.
Yeah, all bottles need to say that. There's some ways that people get around that. But then you can have a brand X, Y, or Z that's that exact same stuff that's going to cost you that $100 to $200.
Right, which really sucks. Yeah, when you have the exact same bourbon, same proof, everything, just under a different brand name, then it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's nuts.
But don't worry, there's more to this list.
Yeah, and I guess now we're coming into allocation season. There's those 2 words that people love and hate to hear.
Limited
edition.
Limited edition.
Yep. Were you trying to think of 2 words and just said limited?
No, I just thought you were. Okay. I thought you were gonna finish my sentence. Like, I was like, oh, we've been married for a year.
So yeah, word limited edition. It doesn't mean much anymore. When you have limited edition releases, High West and Midwinter's Night Dream, that has 150,000 bottles.
How is that
How's
limited?
that limited?
That's a lot of people that can get the bottle.
Yeah, that's not limited. I'm
when
sorry.
When I hear it personally, the word limited to me means like a barrel.
No, it's going to be more than that.
A batch, sure. You can have a small batch.
Yeah.
But it's like crazy when you start to think
what's
about what...
a small batch? There's no definition of a small batch.
Right.
But
What is limited edition?
to me, I would say limited edition, and limited to me would be probably 10,000 bottles or less.
It's honestly just marketing mumbo jumbo.
It is.
As somebody who works in marketing, it's literally just another way to entice you to buy the product. And that just irritates the frick out of me. If you're going to have something that's limited to maybe it's not a specific bottle count. Maybe it's limited to once a year. I can consider limited being once a year.
Once a year is still fine, but
the
when it's
bottles don't mean
150,000 bottles in once a year, that's just ridiculous.
I know, but I'm just saying, in their minds, they're not using the term limited edition as the bottles are limited. They're using the term as this only comes out once every year or once every other year. That means they're limited. It just hit me while we were talking about this.
It is what it is, but
doesn't mean it's
the prices just keep going up, and that goes to the whole distributors, the secondary market, and everything with those. Because you take, say, a King of Kentucky. Those are very limited. Those are going to go crazy. Those are going to be 1,500-ish on secondary, and what are they, 300 retail-ish, somewhere in that range?
Right.
So it depends on what it is. The
true.
word limited, it's out there, and it just causes people to go nuts.
That's very true. All right, so the last thing on the list, and then we have another really big point to drive home. But the very last thing on this list is... I don't want to admit this one. It's us.
It's us.
It's not just us. It's YouTubers, influencers, people out there on social media who are hyping up bottles. We get something and we try it and we review it and we like it. Nobody else in the world might not like it. There might be people who've never heard of a brand. John Bob Smith's bourbon whiskey, and we tried it on our stream, or we tried it on a review, and we were like, John Bob Smith's bourbon whiskey is the best thing I've ever tasted. I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10. I think it's fantastic. I think everyone should go out and buy it. Then all of a sudden, people are like, did you hear the average drinker say, I'm just using us for an example. Did you hear the average drinker said that John Bob Smith's bourbon whiskey is the best thing they ever tried? We gotta try. I'm curious about it now. I
mean, I'm gonna give you an exact point with actually calling out bottles here. Matt, ADHD, just did a video recently, and I think it was a Rebecca Creek 12-year cash strength.
Oh, yeah.
Right after he did that video, I saw that bottle on secondary for like $200-something. I think Jason and Matt did something with the Smoke Eye.
Oh, yeah, the Smoke Eye.
Smoke Eye.
Comparing it to George T. Stagg.
Seeing that on secondary. So, YouTubers in general. It's in the hype train. So, what was it? Yellowstone and putting Buffalo Trace everywhere. Granted, everyone knows about Buffalo Trace. So, it's the hype train for bottles and what it is and social media. It kills bourbon prices. I hate to say it.
The more we hype something up, the more the market wants it. Then the secondary market wants it. Then the distributors see that secondary wants it. Then distributors raise prices. And then, you know what? Then the distilleries are like, this is the new suggested retail price next year. Instead of $175, we're going to sell it for $275. Yeah. It all starts from the bottom and it builds its way up this crazy little ladder.
Yep. So, before we get into this last thing we want to ask you, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment.
Yeah, that would be awesome. And hit that bell notification.
Yep, bell.
If you guys haven't checked out our Patreon, be sure to do that too, because it really helps keep the channel going. Anyhow, moving on. The last point we've got to drive home, and it's not a number on our list. It's basically the fact that...
When are you going to be priced out of the market?
Yeah. When are you...
What's your dollar limit that you're priced out of the market?
Where you can no longer buy... You're like, okay, well, I normally love... Russell's 15. I love Russell's 15, or I love Russell products, Russell's 13. I loved Russell's 13. I want Russell's 15, but at what point is that bottle too expensive?
Yeah.
$300?
Because I think that $300 price point for me is where I'm priced out of the market, because we pass on Master Keep, we've passed on Generations, we've seen that on a shelf for $450, which is retail.
Wouldn't we love to have that bottle?
Yeah. What is it? We've seen some purple tops at $500 and something, and you just can't do it. A lot of these whiskeys are being priced so astronomically high that not buying them. So eventually, I don't know if the distributor, the manufacturer, the distiller is going to bring some of these prices down.
I don't know if it's going to
It's up to all of us to help with that.
Yeah, but it's like, do we stop buying?
I think people have stopped buying some bottles already, including us.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Or it's like, you can only buy one bottle every 6 months instead of you can buy a bottle every month. But it's like, even, we were talking about this before, but Weller Millennium.
Yep.
Was retail
retail $7,500. I think when that came out, we saw it on secondary for $1,200, and I think it's been actually selling less than retail.
1,200? You mean
or
12,000? I was like, 1,200.
I think it's actually been selling less than retail. So it's one of those that Buffalo Trace priced that in a stupid price.
But also, I did have this little bit of an argument. There's always going to be someone out there
that's fine.
Wants to buy that bottle.
I don't care about the 1 or 2 people. This is for the masses. It's for the masses. That 1 or 2 people, if they want to pay that, that's fine. I don't care. This is for the masses.
Of course, we want the masses to have everything, but there's like some stuff that has to be super exclusive.
That's fine.
I think, and anything
and it can be exclusive going on the secondary market too.
That's true.
If you want that bottle of Pappy for $3,000, go buy it. I don't care. Like, go for it.
Anyhow, before we get too carried away, because honestly, when we start talking about the cost of bourbon and the rising cost of bourbon, we get really frustrated.
She gets mad at me.
But you get mad at me. I've literally had to tone down my anger. Believe me, I've had so many conversations with people where I have just vented on this and vented on it. So I try to tame it down to be logical and less emotional, because sometimes that happens. So logical, less emotional, reasonable, reality, they're all things. Anyhow, that's all we've got for you today. Let us know in the comments at what point you guys are going to be priced out of the market. Is it already happened? Have you reached your boiling point? Are you boiling over now and you're done? Let us know in the comments. And that's all we have. Have a wonderful day. I'm Dara.
I'm Bill.
We'll see you next time right back here on The Average Drinker.